me and some of the guys from my men's group were having a conversation the other day, and as always, the topic comes up about women in relationships. One of the younger guys always have questions because the older guys have already pretty much been through a ringer and have come to learn certain things. So the older generation is usually giving advice to the younger guys. And, you know, we got to talking about different things and everything. And one of the young guys asked me, you know, what is your opinion about women today? You know, what do you think of modern women? Like, really? Like, what's your view? And I thought about it for a while, and, you know, if you just listen to the way that I talk generally, it sounds like I just hate women, but that's not the case. What I hate is whores and thoughts. And unfortunately, that's what most modern women have degraded themselves to becoming that, because of all the various things that come with feminism and everything. But when I was thinking about it, a thought crossed my mind, and what it was an image of the woman who basically brought me to the epiphany of, holy shit, this is just the way that it is. And what it was a picture that I saw of her with the new dude who's like playing the role of whatever she's using this guy for. And what was, when I saw the picture, the way that my gut felt about it was, I kind of felt sorry for the dude. There was no jealousy, there was no envy, there was none of that. I felt sorry for that guy, because I knew exactly what the fuck this dude was about to go through with this chick. I knew the trajectory of how it was going to go. And you know, my answer to the young dude was, this is how I explained it to him, and it's kind of a funny story, but it is very indicative of the way that modern women are, the way that they view themselves, and the way that when you look at them like this, it gives you a real clear picture of what you're most likely going to deal with. And this story goes back to my early retarded years, when I was just doing wild shit. Basically, I was just a thug. It was before I went on my extended vacation. And, you know, that was during the Reagan era, you know, the crack era. And we were well involved in all of the shit that was going on in that era. And so, you know, I was hustling, and some of the guys that I was dealing with, I hung out with a group of dudes that hung out with Scarface from Houston. And so there was a lot of Cadillacs, and, you know, there was just a lot of flossing going on. And, you know, everybody was hustling, everybody had a little bit of money, and everybody wanted to try to flex. And so, you know, everything was going pretty good, but then this drought hit, and shit dried up, and, you know, shit started getting rough for everyone. And I went through the rough patch. I had a 300ZX that I was real proud of, and I ended up getting drunk, and I crashed my car, and there was no hustle going on, so I couldn't afford to get my car fixed. Well, the dude that I was kicking it with, he knew it. You know, there was a guy that was, you know, basically he was the dude, he was the plug, and he, you know, one of his fences was a used car lot, and he had this Cadillac Eldorado that was dope. And, you know, the paint job was dope. I mean, it was a dope ass car. And I used to, you know, I would drive by, check it out. And I always, you know, I was like, damn, if I was going to buy a Lac, that's the one I would have knocked out of. And so when I wrecked my Z, man, it was going to cost about 3 racks to fix my car. And I had enough money to, you know, to reinvest in my hustle if it ever came around, or I could fix my car. But if I fixed my car, I was going to be broke. And so I went to this dude who, you know, had this car lot, and he basically let me play myself. You know, he would buy cars from auctions and fix them, and, you know, whatever, he'd buy a BMW or something with a busted quarter panel, he would fix it, and he would come up, you know, and that was his hustle. Well, when it came time for me to try to, to replace my car, I ended up having to go talk to him, and I made a deal with him. And he let me make the deal. He didn't make the deal with me. I can't blame him for anything that was done, because I had fixated myself so much on this car that for over a year I had driven by. I didn't understand why nobody got the car, because to me, it was dope. And so, I'll go and I talk to him, and, we smash back and forth, and I tell him, listen, man, here's what I'll do. I'll give you, you can take the Z, because I can't afford to get it fixed, and let me just get that lack and give me $500. That was all it was, because my Z was dope, man. This Cadillac was old, and the price that he wanted from, I think he wanted $2,500 for it or something. So basically, I gave him my 300Z that only had, it was just, the damage wasn't, looking back, it was pathetic. It was pitiful. But I was desperate, and I wanted to flex. And so, he told me, hey man, you sure you want to do that? Go drive that car, go check it out. And I'm like, nah, man. I said, does it run? He's like, yeah, it runs. And and all the old dudes started laughing. And I'm in my 20s, man. I'm stupid. I didn't catch on to the joke at all, And so I went out there, I got the key, and I went out, I started the car up, and the fucking car ran, man. And I didn't pop the hood, I didn't do anything. The car ran, I was footing it. And so he made the deal, and he told me, he said, listen, man, I'm gonna fix this car. You can't turn around and you can't change your mind. This deal is what we're doing. If this is what you want to do, this is what we're gonna do. And so, I stamped my approval on that shit, and I took off. Well, later on that night, it got dark, and I go to turn the headlights on. The fucking lights don't work. Like, I got zero lights. That was strike number one. Well, I'm driving through, and this is the height of the crack era. So I'm driving through the cut with this fucking Cadillac with not only with no headlights. Turns out the brake lights didn't work either. And man, so now I'm panicking. I'm like, shit, I get jammed up by this cop, and I'm just, I'm really just trying to get the car from where I was at to the house, which was only a couple of miles, but it's bone dark. And so, dude, the cop pulls me over. He tells me my lights, my brake lights don't work, and he gives me an escort to the house. Luckily, man, and I do not know why that happened, but he lets me follow him. Told him I just bought the car. They still had dealership tags on it, so he's like, yeah, man, you bought a lemon, woo, woo, woo. So I go back, and I go talk to my dude, and I'm a little bit pissed off, because I'm like, hey man, you didn't tell me that the car didn't have no lights, man. And he said, dude, I told you to go check that car out, man. I told you to go check it out. I asked you, if you were sure you wanted to do it, and you did that, man. You made that deal, and this dude was OG. He wasn't a dude that, it wasn't a lateral conversation. It wasn't like one of my peers. I couldn't just do anything to this cat, because it would come with some ramifications that I wasn't built for at that time. And I knew that, you know what I'm saying? I knew that, and I knew that he was right. And so what ended up, I had to take my L on that. And so what it was, the lights didn't work, but you could you could do a certain thing. If you mashed on the emergency brake, then a light would come on back there. So I was driving this car around, and when I would hit the brake, I would also have to tap the emergency brake, because that would make a light come on, but the brake pedal wouldn't. And so I go talk to my dude, who was my main guy that took me to homie, and I was like, hey man, what the fuck is up with that car, man? Because when he saw that I got the car, he was like, oh man, you got that car? And I'm like, yeah. What's happening with this? What's up with it? He was like, he started laughing. He said, man, that car used to be a dope fiend rental. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, man, such and such. I didn't know these dudes. I wasn't from that area. And so apparently this car used to belong to a dude that was strung on crack. And the hustlers back, that was a dope fiend rental is, you go do some dirty shit, or, basically you're gonna put yourself in a situation that is, you don't want to be marked. You don't want to take your car. You don't want to take your car to identify you. You just give a dope fiend, a 10, 20 rock, and you got a rental. And you don't have to bring it back. What are they going to do, call the police? Sometimes they would, but basically, you could give them a couple of crumbs, and you would have a car. Well, the things that you do in dope fiend rentals, it's worse than a rental car, man. Like it's worse than a car from Enterprise. Dope fiend rentals get abused, man. They get abused. Shit, I mean, shit goes down in these cars that's fucked up, and and they get dogged out. Like we used to get them, we used to get them from dudes, and we would try to jump railroad tracks and Hyundais and shit. And so I'm thinking, damn, okay, so it was a dope fiend rental. So niggas have ragged this car out, and roger that. So that was cool with it. Then he told me, he said, yeah, man, did you check the wiring? Because I was telling him the lights don't work. He said, yeah, the wiring is all messed up. He said that car, he said, before Side got the car, that car caught on fire, man. The whole inside of that car has been replaced, and the wiring, they just rigged the wiring up for the basics to work. He said, but the car's wiring, man, that shit was all on fire. And so I went out there and I looked under the hood, and sure enough, man, the fucking car had been, man, that car had been set on fire, man. So, my dude had went and got the car from whoever bought it. He polished it up, and he fixed that shit up, man. And he was gonna sell it, but most people that were smart, they would ask the questions. They would ask pertinent questions, and when they would find out the car's history, they wouldn't eat shit. That price tag, it wasn't worth it, man. It wasn't worth it, because that car was gonna come with a bunch of fucking problems. It already had problems. It was pretty on the outside. And so, when I saw this picture and I saw this goofy ass dude, that she was getting her parasite on with, cheesing and shit, I kind of felt, in that moment, I felt sorry for the dude, because it was almost like I sold him that Cadillac, that fucking car. That car's got so many miles, got caught on fire. This motherfucker probably did a drive-by in this shit, you know what I mean? Probably had an orgy. There ain't no telling, man. A dope fiend rental. And so, when I was talking to the young dude in my group, I told him, I was like, what you have to understand is, with the feminist movement and the liberation and all of the shit that has made the society what it is today, you have to look at these women, and you have to assume that this woman is a dope fiend rental on the car lot with a cheap tag on it. And if you look at it that way, because what you do, if you go get a normal rental car, you just get that car, you drive it, you don't really give a shit about it. It's not your problem to maintain it or do any of that stuff. And usually you rag the car. You drive that car in a manner that you wouldn't drive your own. And that's what thoughts do. I've come across so many women who had boyfriends, husbands, whatever these men thought that they were, and these women come to me, and I guarantee you the things that these women do, they don't do with these men, and that's the reason why they are here. And this guy thinks that he's got a high value car. This bitch is a dope fiend rental. She's a dope fiend rental, but the only deal is I don't have to give her shit. You're renting her. She's letting me do donuts in the parking lot. And so when you're dealing, if you're a purple pill dude or a hopeless romantic guy that's maybe trying to figure some shit out, then you've stumbled across these channels. What I would tell you, man, is realize that modern day dating, even women who come across as good girls, man, they're usually dope fiend rentals. They have been empowered and encouraged to act like complete garbage, and they do it. They're proud of it. They have all teamed up collectively to pat each other on the back, and that's what you're dealing with. So, what I told my men, you have to realize that you are dealing with used P salesmen, and they're trying to sell you a demo vehicle that has been dogged by every salesman in the building and every teenager whose father, these women have high mileage on them. And even when you think that you're secure, even when you think, not mine, man, you gotta really you have to peel the blinders away from your eyes and realize that the chances are pretty high that your bitch might have been a rental car at some point in time. If not everyone, but from what I've seen in 50 years, There's a lot of women with a lot of hard miles on them, and they're never going to tell you the truth about them. But most women nowadays, especially when they get close to that wall and they're trying to cash in that golden ticket, man, that's like a dope fiend rental that's caught on fire. Be careful, man. Look under the hood and pay attention. Check that odometer because these bitches like to roll back the miles. Pay attention. Stay sharp, man. Out.